butter on the knife, wipe it off on the toast, and then reuse it in the jar. Instead of getting a fresh knife, use the one with the butter on it, or the dairy blend, whatever you call it. In this house, it causes a few arguments. You open up the jar and there's like big globs of white stuff in there from whatever someone else has used previously. Daz approves. G'day everybody and welcome to my Aussie gardening kitchen. If it's your first time here, my name's Darren, but please call me Daz. And as you can see in front of me, I've got some Vegemite. So in this video today, we're going to be talking about the history of Vegemite, what is Vegemite, and how do Australians eat Vegemite. So here it is. I've got a few examples here, just some of the products that we have here at our house. We've got various sizes here, and then there's a product here, a snack product, where someone has incorporated their brand with the Vegemite brand and brought two things together. But first, we'll talk about the history of Vegemite. It's a pretty cool history and a long one at that. So back in the early 1900s in Australia, Marmite was a thick, dark spread. It looks very similar to Vegemite. It was really popular in Australia. So in 1922, a man called Fred Walker, who owned the Fred Walker Company, decided to get a chemist to look into making a yeast extract to be in competition with Marmite from England. So the scientist got to work and he was able to work out how to use leftover brewer's yeast from Carlton United Breweries in Victoria, Australia, and add vegetable extracts such as, I think it's celery and onion, and some other spices, I guess, probably salt because it tastes so salty. Now this product that he made was really rich in vitamin B and it was really good stuff. And it was actually labelled as a pure vegetable extract. So in 1923, the Fred Walker Company ran a competition to try and find a name for this new product. And his daughter ended up picking the name that was chosen, and that was Vegemite. Now I'm pretty sure his daughter's name was Sheila, which is funny because we're talking about a very Australian product, and the word Sheila is an old slang name in Australia for a female. Don't really see it that much these days, but that's Sheila over there, or that's Sheila over there. So yeah, I thought that was funny when looking at the history of an Australian product, and there's a bit of history of the Australian slang there as well. So there they went with their brand new product called Vegemite, put it on the shelves in stores, and went in competition with this Marmite from England. Didn't go too well. They just couldn't get the sales because Marmite really had a stronghold, really had a grip on the sales in Australia at the time, and this new Vegemite just couldn't cut it. So then in around 1928, they had the genius idea that they'll change the name to Parwill. Now the reason they changed it to Parwill is because of Marmite. So the idea was, hey, if Marmite, well then Parwill. Didn't go so well. So they then changed the name back to Vegemite, and the name Vegemite has stuck ever since. Now in 1939, the British Medical Association actually endorsed Vegemite as a healthy product that's rich in vitamin B. So then it was promoted in British medical journals as being healthy for people with vitamin B and healthy for children and things like that. Now I've heard stories that during World War II it was actually in Australian soldiers' rations, and I had a look around, and what I could find from the actual Vegemite website itself is that the military back in the day were actually buying large quantities of Vegemite because of the health benefits for it, and I guess sending that to the troops. So then what happened was the Fred Walker Company had to actually ration Vegemite in Australia because of the demand for it. So then, like a lot of things, when there's a lot of demand for it, the popularity increases, and before you knew it, Vegemite was just everywhere. It was in, I think, 9 out of 10 homes in Australia if you could get it. Now in Australia, Vegemite is also associated with its jingle. It's got a very, very famous jingle, "We're happy little Vegemites." Now I think due to copyright reasons, I probably shouldn't sing it or show it to you here, but essentially what happened was in the early 1950s, they come up with this jingle and it was great. And then what they did was they made a television campaign a few years later. That was good too. It worked, it was pretty popular. Vegemite continued to be the hit in Australia that it is now. Then what happened was in the 1980s, they went along and they took the original jingle, the original commercial, and they remastered it and they put it back out and marketed Vegemite. And that nostalgic hit was just awesome, and Vegemite was as popular as ever. So I guess learning from that huge bit of nostalgia, they went and did it again in 2010 and pushed the old commercial again. Well, I say pushed, but everybody loves it. It's a great jingle, and it's so iconic in Australia. So the Fred Walker Company had business connections with the Kraft Company. So what they did was they marketed Vegemite with Kraft products, and as far as I understand it, Vegemite was part of like a giveaway with promotions with Kraft products. That really helped with the popularity of Vegemite in Australia too. Now Kraft actually ended up owning Vegemite. So what happened was Vegemite, this great Australian product, was actually owned by America for quite a long time. I think it's been around for close to 100 years, and the majority of that, it's actually been owned by America, believe it or not. So then in 2017, the bigger cheese company in Australia, they paid, I don't know, it was like $450, $460 million to buy a whole bunch of products back off Kraft and make Vegemite Australian owned again. Lots of people were happy about that. So after all this time, Vegemite is now officially Australian owned again. Now over the years, they tried doing different products with Vegemite, obviously to increase sales. They released something called Vegemite Blend 17, and that was pretty much a premium version of Vegemite where it had a better flavor apparently. I never tried it myself because it was way too expensive. It was at least double the price, I think. So Kraft released the Vegemite singles, and that was slices of cheese. You could buy them in a multi-pack, and the cheese was blended with Vegemite, and that was popular for a while. In fact, Vegemite and cheese sandwiches are popular, or Vegemite and cheese on toast, but I'll get into that later and I'll actually show you what I'm talking about. Now one of the biggest fails ever for any company, I think, was iSnack 2.0. That's what I said, iSnack 2.0. Now from what I think happened was, back in the day of iPods and, well yeah, iPods being very popular, Kraft decided to cash in on this really hip name, I guess, for the younger generation. And they made pretty much a blend of a cream cheese and Vegemite together in a jar, and they called it iSnack 2.0. It was laughed at. I mean, people just laughed at it in the media, in the public, you name it. And within something like 4 days, Kraft actually released I guess a press release sort of saying, yeah, maybe that wasn't a great idea, and we're going to do a poll and pick another name. So they did a poll and they ended up picking the name Vegemite Cheesy Bite. And that's pretty much in a jar. And as I said, it's a cream cheese and Vegemite blend that you can get in with a knife and spread. They also released My First Vegemite. Now that was aimed at children over the age of 1. And the idea behind that was it was 50% less salt and it had extra B vitamins in it. And it was just that marketing for children out there to say, you know what, have your Vegemite, but it's a lot better for you as well. So my personal favorite was Vegemite chocolate. So what happened was the Cadbury company got together and they released a chocolate block, and that was blended with caramel and Vegemite, and you would actually bite into it and have a nice oozy caramel middle. I liked it personally, but a lot of people turned their noses up at it. And I think it was one of those ones where you either loved it or you hated it. It was pretty much people arguing either way. It was pretty funny at the time, and hey, I enjoyed it. I can remember when it actually came to an end for sales, it was being discounted at ridiculous prices all over the place. I think my wife grabbed me something like 10 blocks at 20 cents each. It was crazy. And I kept those for so long and rationed them out. It was the best. Okay, so some of the facts and stories you might have heard about Vegemite, I thought I'd clear some of them up. I think the biggest one is that Vegemite was banned in the USA. It wasn't, not at all. There was talk that it was banned because, I don't know, it didn't have folate and stuff like that, but it's simply not true. It was never banned. Now, it was originally marketed as something that you would put on your sandwiches, your toast, your soups, your stews, your gravies, to enhance the flavour. Now, I don't think it's a common thing here. I'm not aware of a lot of people putting it into soups, stews and gravies. Sandwiches and toast, absolutely. But I can say that I have put it in soups, and I have put it in stews, and I have put it in gravies. Not very often. I've done it every now and then, and it tastes fine, and it's more the beef / vegetable type soups that I would do that in. And yes, I have done a Vegemite stir fry. And yes, it was awesome. So Vegemite now has its classifications as being vegan, halal and kosher. So in 2008, they manufactured their 1 billionth jar. 1 billion, that's crazy. So in 1984, it was the very first item to be scanned at an electronic checkout here in Australia. That's pretty cool. And a lot of people don't know this, but Vegemite was actually produced in New Zealand as well. I think it was from about the 1950s to the early 2000s. So when I was talking about the products where they've incorporated Vegemite into things such as chocolate and snacks and stuff like that, there's other things like potato chips or potato crisps, people call them in other places. And there was Vegemite flavoured ones as well. And then you've got these ones here. These are Shapes, very famous Aussie biscuit snack. Normally they're a savoury flavoured or maybe a chicken flavoured or barbecue flavoured, pizza flavoured. Now these are really cool because what they've actually done with these is not only have they incorporated the Vegemite flavour into them, but they've actually made them into the shape of Australia. And to keep people in Tasmania happy, they've got the shape of Tasmania as well. Now I say that because poor old Tasmania, Australia gets looked at as an island by a lot of people internationally, which it is, but unfortunately poor Tasmania, that a little island state here, that's just off the bottom of Australia, off the east coast, and it quite often gets forgotten. And quite a few people I've spoken to recently have said, what, hang on a minute, there's another island? Yeah, there's an entire state, and that's Tasmania. So as far as packaging goes, I don't have all the types of packaging you can get. Now, if you go to, say, a motel here in Australia, it's not too uncommon to see one of these and, say, a strawberry jam in something like this and a butter sitting in a basket next to the kettle or something like that on the counter in the room. Now, you've got your common jar here. This is one of the bigger jars. You can get a smaller jar, a medium jar, and a larger jar. So generally, when you go to the supermarket, this is pretty much what you're looking at. You're looking at jars in a similar size to this. Then you've got this size here. Now, when we were members at Costco, yes, Costco is in Australia, we would personally buy a few of these because we go through it. Now, we've got 6 kids here, plus my wife and I, and we all have varying tolerances to Vegemite, but the fact is that we go through a lot of Vegemite, so it was more economical for us to buy these guys here, and we would fly through them. So now that we're not at Costco, it's not very common to see these on the shelves anywhere. So you can get them at wholesalers and certain places, but definitely if you go to the supermarket, you're generally looking at Vegemite in a jar, but they do now have a squeezy bottle, which I don't have at the moment. And I don't know how to explain that. Imagine a suntan lotion bottle and it's full of Vegemite. How's that? How's that for a mental image? So Vegemite can be eaten in different ways. Now I mentioned that you could put it in soups and stews and gravies, but really that's not very, very common. Having it on a sandwich or having it on toast is very, very common. So what I'm going to show you is the different ways that we eat it in our family. And I'll show you some different combinations too, because Vegemite is just not eaten by itself on toast or bread. There are a few things that people do, and some of them are pretty common. And there's one that I don't like personally, but it's very trendy, and one of my kids actually loves it. It's their favorite way. So anyway, I'll get this cleaned up and then magically I'll appear showing you how we have Vegemite in different ways. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of the ways that we eat Vegemite here in Australia. Now, I just want to make it clear to start with that I can't represent every single person in the country, and I'm sure someone's going to watch this and say, no, I put more, or no, I put less. Look, that's fine. I don't think there's a wrong way and a right way. Well, I think the only wrong way is to smack it on like peanut butter. You just don't put it on thick. I think everyone agrees with that. But there are different, I guess, amounts that you can put on, say, the toast, and I'll go through that. Then you've got a whole separate debate. Butter, margarine. Well, look, in this case, I'm going to use a dairy blend that I've just found in the fridge. I personally don't care. I'm either. In this house, there's debate. We have different blends for different people. And then when it comes to the toast, you've got people saying it should be darker, it should be lighter, it should be really hot when you spread it, it should be cold. So anyway, we're not going to go into that debate. So we're just going to look at how Vegemite is spread in different ways and how Vegemite's eaten in different ways. Cheers. All right, so first of all, let's do the toast. I'll just move this bread for now. I've got my almost empty jar of Vegemite. We're getting really low. And I've got one of these little packets. I thought I'd open up one of these packets and show you what they look like, how you use them. So the toast. This came out just when I started talking, so it's starting to go cold, but let's not get into that debate, like I said. Dairy blend, whatever. So what I'll do first is I'll just put some of the dairy blend on. So I think, as I put way too much on. So I think most people will agree that you put on the butter first and then you put the Vegemite on top of that. Now, I didn't realize that this was really soft because it had been left out. So when I put the first lot on, it was like spreading, I don't know, whipped marshmallow or something. It took me by surprise. All right, so there we go. We've got our dairy blend on our toast. Now, watch this. This is something you have to do. Butter on the knife, wipe it off on the toast, and then reuse it in the jar. Instead of getting a fresh knife, use the one with the butter on it, or the dairy blend, whatever you call it. In this house, it causes a few arguments. You open up the jar and there's like big globs of white stuff in there from whatever someone else has used previously. As you can see, I'm running out. Luckily, we've got the emergency rations. So, this would be what my wife does. So that, if you can see that properly, that's probably the amount of Vegemite that my wife would have. That might actually be a little generous for my wife, but I'd say that's probably my wife's standard there. Now I'd say for a couple of the kids, now that there, that's probably most of the kids' version compared to my wife's version. Then we've got my version. See, when I was saying about blending it with the butter or the margarine, whatever spread you use, I'm not talking about getting in and mixing it in and make it into a creamy blend, but you kind of just let it blend together as it will, so to speak. So this is probably realistically how I'd have it. So that's thicker again. Now that's how I prefer it. A lot of people will probably look at this and be going, oh, no thanks. And that's fine. Do as much as you want, as little as you want, whatever. But I'm just showing you, as you can see, you've got my wife's there, mine there, and the kids there. So I think that's probably the three averages there as to what sort of Vegemite people would have. In this house anyway. So I'm guessing from, I guess, what I've seen, there's probably a bit of debate as to one of those two there, and possibly maybe in between those two as being the right amount. Like I said, you just do it how you like, and I think on average you're probably looking at in between these two maybe is maybe a common acceptable way of doing it. If you've got Vegemite where you are, please pop a comment down below and just let me know which of these versions here would you prefer yourself. I'd be really keen to see what people think. And I guess even people that haven't tried it and have heard about it, what would you do? Would you go for the really light version, or would you just get stuck in and go for a thick version, or maybe somewhere in between? Pop a comment down below and let me know. All right, so now I'll show you some of the ways we eat it. Obviously, just like this. Good stuff. But there are things that we add to it, or we can add to it, I should say. So one of the faves when I was a kid was Vegemite and cheese on toast. So what you do is you'd make your Vegemite toast, grab a cheese slice. Now, if you're watching the start of the video, you would have seen how I was talking about the Kraft Vegemite singles. So it would have been a square piece of cheese like this, and it had the Vegemite blended into it already. Really good stuff. So what you do is pop your cheese on top of your Vegemite, just like that, and then whack it under the grill. I've got a grill turned on behind me, so I'm just going to turn around and pop it in, and we'll check it out in a minute. Oh yeah, some people will do this and pop it in the microwave. That's fine, that's what they like to do, but for me, the toast goes soggy and a bit funny, and I don't like that. So I prefer my Vegemite and cheese on toast under the grill. Okay, so another thing people do here in Australia with their Vegemite on toast, which I absolutely detest, one of my kids absolutely love, is the avocado. Ugh, that's a really old one. Ugh. And the avocado, the good old avo. Smashed avocado on Vegemite toast. I think it's quite, ugh, no thank you. But it's very popular. It's very trendy. Now when you go to cafes and stuff, it's quite common to go to a cafe and have smashed avo on toast. And quite often it'll be smashed avo on Vegemite toast. So one of my kids, they're not here at the moment. If they were here, I would have done it for you, but no one's going to eat this. I don't want to waste the avocado because they're quite expensive at the moment. But yeah, you can just imagine a fresh avocado smashed up on top of Vegemite toast. Again, whatever way you want to have the Vegemite, that's your call. And away you go. So avo and Vegemite on toast. Okay, so I've got a piece of toast here. Doesn't have Vegemite on it. Why doesn't it have Vegemite on it? This is something I did as a kid, and it's also something that one of my kids does to this day. Peanut butter. Good old peanut butter. So, spread on toast. As with the Vegemite, as little as you like, as much as you like. Anyway, we've got the peanut butter on the toast. I will swap knives. Got my trusty Vegemite and butter blend knife back again. Let's open this guy, show what they look like. So with these ones here, they've pretty much got a section in the corner that's ready to go. Pull it open and there you go. Now, as a kid, and I've actually seen some of my kids do it, you've got Vegemite left on the lid. You don't throw that away, you lick it off. Oh. That's pretty good. Okay, so peanut butter toast, Vegemite. Take your Vegemite, mix it in. Now this one, I was saying earlier, with the butter, you don't really try and mix the butter in. It's not a thing you have to do. With the Vegemite and peanut butter, I like to do it, and so does one of my kids. So we just get it, mix it in, not being too fussy. And there you have it. Peanut butter and Vegemite on toast. There you go. Peanut butter and Vegemite on toast together. Awesome stuff. USA and Australian relations going well. Daz approves. Oh, I forgot the grilled cheese. Back in a minute. Keeping it real, people. I forgot the cheese under the grill. That's not Vegemite. That's my burnt cheese. So I will do another one and show you what it looks like normally. I'm just going to cut it open and see what it looks like. Oh, how's that? I'd actually eat that. But no, that's not how it's supposed to look. Sorry. Toast. Here's one I prepared earlier. As I kept on saying, as little or as much as you like. Now this is actually a supermarket brand, cheapy brand of sliced cheese. But I really like this stuff because it's got that plastic type texture to it. And when you grill it, it's really, really cool. So here we go, under the grill. I'll try not to forget it this time. All right, so while we're waiting for that grilled cheese, there is another Vegemite on toast that I was doing when I was a young kid, and I still do to this day. I was just licking my lips and I've got peanut butter in my whiskers. Pretty gross, I guess, for other people, but it was a good find for me. This is tomato sauce. Now, when I say tomato sauce, I don't mean tomato sauce that you put on your pasta. Think of ketchup, but it's not ketchup. And it's very much a country style sauce. So anyway, this is one that I've made, a couple of years ago now. And it lasts a long time. So I'll crack this open and get it on here. If I can open it with my Vegemite and dairy blend fingers. Oh, I'm struggling. Cheese is okay, I just checked it. Oh, you're kidding me. Okay, so this one here with this sauce, one, I can't get the jar open, so I'm going to scrounge a bit out of this one here, which is just about done. Two, the grilled cheese is ready. So this is going to the side, and I'm getting the grilled cheese. Back in a minute. Here's our grilled Vegemite and cheese. How good does that look? A little bit of colour there, not like the other one. Cut it in half. Oh. Okay, that's super hot. The steam that came out of it. So there you go. That's Vegemite and cheese on toast under the grill. Oh, see that bit of cheese hanging out there? That was pretty cool. I would love to bite into this right now, but it's very hot and I don't want to burn the top of my mouth in front of you guys. I've made enough mistakes already, and burning myself is not one of them. Oh, it smells so good though. Yum. Oh, there's a big blob of cheese there. Excuse my fingers and my licking my fingers, but I'm the only person eating this stuff, so that's how it goes. All right, so we're back to the one where we're going to put the sauce, the table sauce. Pile it on there. Already, the smell of this, it's a very spicy, acidic, spicy, country blend smell. It's fantastic. So what I do is I absolutely load it on. Then what I would do is I'd actually let this sit, and that tomato sauce will just soak in to the surface a bit more. But I want to take a bite now. The aroma, it really does bring me back to my childhood and being in the country at the farm at my nana's house. That taste. The saltiness of the Vegemite and that spicy tomato country blend. Wow, it's good. Anyway, we'll pop this aside. I've got this pile stacking up of Vegemite, assorted Vegemite toasts. It's crazy. Now we're going on to sambos, or sandwiches, as we say. Just add this to the Vegemite toast pile. I'm just actually going to flip this one upside down so it goes on top of that tomato sauce, and then that tomato sauce will coat this one as well. I should probably answer the question that a lot of people ask, and that's, what does Vegemite taste like? I can tell you one thing, you never ever do this. No. It's very salty. As you can see, it's not... There you go, a little bit came off. It's not falling off the knife. It's very thick. So, all right, so the taste, it's very salty. We've established that. Imagine maybe soy sauce or a beef bouillon, a beef stock, and say the beef stock, you reduce it down so you've evaporated a lot of the water and it's very concentrated and salty. It's like that. It's like a very salty, overly rich beef flavour, although there's no beef in it. It's vegan, remember? So yeah, salty would be the best thing. And yeah, I guess you could kind of mention soy sauce or a beef bouillon. Maybe where you are, you get beef stock cubes or bouillon cubes, or a beef paste or a bouillon paste for when you make beef stocks. Imagine maybe licking one of those, kind of like that. That's why you don't plaster it on like peanut butter. Good stuff. Oh, good stuff. All right, so we're going to 3 sandwiches. 2, pretty common. 1, not very common, but for me, the best. I'm actually going to get another knife because this one's pretty grotty. I don't know if you people say grotty where you are. Dirty. Okay, so you've got your blend of whatever blend of your choice. Go for it. Now, I've actually run out of bread, so I'm going to have to ration this because I want to make 3 sandwiches. Vegemite. Just like the toast. As little as you like or as much as you like. One side of the bread or both sides of the bread. Your choice. I think that there is a pretty fair depiction of what maybe an average Vegemite sandwich would have. Probably that much Vegemite. There you go. Half a Vegemite sandwich. Daz approves. I'll just stick that on the toast pile. Second sandwich, again, as little or as much as you like with the Vegemite. I am restraining myself here. I'm trying to give a kind of fair depiction of what maybe an average person would do. Then, I'll be back in a minute. Because I burnt my other cheese, I'm 1 piece of cheese short. Okay, I'm back. With my plastic cheese. Now with the cheese, it's just a basic sliced cheese, whether it's cheddar cheese or whatever. Really, people just go for like a basic cheese, a cheap one like this, or maybe a cheddar. Maybe they'll slice some cheese off a block. But we don't go messing around putting camembert or brie or anything fancy like that. It's pretty much just your bread, the spread of your choice, the Vegemite, as thick or as thin as you like, and a slice of cheese. Vegemite and cheese. Daz approves. That's going on the pile again. Now for this beauty. This is one that I've been doing since I was a kid. I tell you what, it never gets old. My wife does it. My kids do it. And actually, I'm not sure if my parents would. Then, the secret ingredient. Shh, don't tell anyone. Make sure this stays between us, okay? I really don't want this getting out because it's like super cool, and if everybody does it, it's not cool anymore. Here goes. Salt and vinegar chips. People call them crisps in other places. We call them chips here, which is confusing because our chips, like in a shop like French fry, we call chips. Although if we go to McDonald's, we call that a French fry. But anyway, I'm getting off track. So, salt and vinegar chips on Vegemite bread. Awesome. Now, some people might say to lay the chips on like this. Nah, that's not how I do it. In fact, that's how my wife and I think all the kids do it. For me, I can't do it with the bag. Normally I do it with the bag. Is you scrunch up the bag, you crush it, you squash them, you turn them into crumbs. You just get in there and you punch it and you squash it, and it's awesome. Can't do that because other people want to eat these chips after me. Excuse the fingers. Crush them up and spread them on. Need a bit more than that. My mouth is actually watering. I can smell the salt and vinegar. Well, I guess I can smell the vinegar. And quite honestly, my mouth is watering. The spread of your choice. Vegemite, as thick or thin as you like. The chips, salt and vinegar, only salt and vinegar. Then what I like to do is push it down. And there is a salt and vinegar Vegemite chip sandwich. It is sensational. Love it. Now what we like to do is, this is really good with bakery fresh bread. Like if you go to the local bakery and get a really soft, fluffy loaf of bread, oh boy, it takes this to a whole new level. I need to eat some because my mouth is watering so much. Oh, so good. And of course, Daz approves. Oh, wow. All right. I'll stick this on the pile, should I? Bonus recipe. Bonus one. With this, what you can do is, let's rewind and go back. Imagine there's no chips here. What you do is you put the spread of your choice, Vegemite, again, as thick or as thin as you like, up to you. Then you get hot chips. Hot chips as in like French fries, but thick cut, thick potato chips, hot from the shop. And you lay them on top like this. Lay them on there. Then you've got your Vegemite underneath. You've got nice hot chips all laid on top. Imagine this is a chip and there's lots of them. Close that lid, pick it up, and you're eating a Vegemite sandwich with nice hot potato chips inside. Whoa, it's good. Not as good as a salt and vinegar chip, I think, but pretty close. So there you go. That's my explanation of how we eat Vegemite here in Australia, the different ways we eat Vegemite. As I said, look, people are different, thick, thin, no chips, no sauce, with sauce, no avocado. Avocado. My pile just collapsed. I'll turn the camera around and give you a look at the pile of shame. The pile, I don't know what you call it, the Vegemite pile. One sec. Okay, so here you go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My representation of how Aussies eat Vegemite on toast. Well, how Aussies can eat Vegemite. Now, I haven't shown you Vegemite in a stew or a soup or a gravy. You can just imagine that. Generally, it's only just a bit of a spoonful, not too much at all. But as far as toast and sandwiches go, these are all the different versions that you can do. People do actually make and eat. It's quite enjoyable, except for the avocado. I mean, avocado and Vegemite? What's with that? Come on, guys. If you did enjoy this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. Please consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell to get notifications of when my videos come out and when I go live. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed this. I've got a bit of Vegemite on bread and toast eating to do, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. Yeah, I'll burnt one. Okay, that actually tastes better than that. How about that? I should burn my cheese more often. Yeah. Daz approves.